everyone, I'm Gabby Vallandingham and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are finally moving on to a new decade, and the decade that we are going to be talking about for the next two videos is the 1960s. So I was going to try and make one video for all of the 1960s, but I realized that that's just too difficult because like about halfway through the 60s, like 1965 to 1966, how films were made kind of changed, and a lot of the films from like 1960 to like 63 are completely different in how they were filmed compared to movies from like 1967 to 68. And if this is your first video that you're seeing from my channel, hello. I am doing a series talking about movie history, starting from the 1930s and ending with the 2010s, and I'm dedicating one video per decade, sometimes two videos per decade, and telling you what movies that I think you should see from those decades that are important to film history, and that if you are wanting to get into the film business, these are films that I think are important to see so you get a better understanding of film history. So yes, I just rambled a lot. So, let's talk about some movies now, shall we? So the first film that we are going to talk about is from 1960, and it is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. And it stars Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh. A Phoenix secretary embezzles $40,000 from her employer's client, goes on the run, and checks into a remote motel run by a young man under the domination of his mother. So in my opinion, I think that this is one of those movies that you need to see. Like, it's like the Wizard of Oz of like mystery and thriller movies. Like, you just need to see it. Like, there isn't much that I really need to say to you to see it. You just gotta see it. It's kind of required. I'm just joking, but it really is an important movie to see. Anthony Perkins in this movie, wow. Obviously, I'm not going to give away what happens in the movie because that would be annoying of me to do to you. But his acting is so great in it. Anthony Perkins is definitely the standout in this movie just because of how creepy he is. That's all I can say. It's just one of those movies that you just gotta see. So yeah. The next movie we are going to talk about is from 1961, and it is West Side Story. So this was directed by Jerome Robbins and Robert Weiss, and this stars Natalie Wood, Richard Beymer, Russ Tamblyn, Rita Moreno, and George Chakiris. A lot of people. Two youngsters from rival New York City gangs fall in love, but tensions between their respective friends build toward tragedy. If you've never heard of West Side Story, this is based on Romeo and Juliet, but it is set in 1950s New York. This is one of those movies that just makes you feel all the feels, and the ending is so sad, and Natalie Wood is just so amazing in it. Everyone's amazing in it, but Natalie Wood at the very end of this movie tugs on your heartstrings in the saddest way. I really recommend you seeing the 1961 version, but if you want to see another version of it, the remake is coming out in December, and I am so excited for it because guess who's directing it? Steven Spielberg, my hero. I'm really excited to see it through Steven Spielberg's eyes. See this one though too. See the 1961 version. This one is very important. Our next movie is also from 1961, and it is Breakfast at Tiffany's. And this was directed by Blake Edwards, and this stars Audrey Hepburn and George Peppard. A young New York socialite becomes interested in a young man who has moved into her apartment building, but her past threatens to get in the way. Now this movie, it's a cult classic. It's another one of those films that you just need to see no matter what. In my opinion, it's a little long-winded. There are some kind of boring parts in the movie, but then there's some just sweet moments in it. And Audrey Hepburn is just, in more modern terms, she is a beast in this movie. Like, oh my God, she is so good. Like, she's good in everything that she's in. But in this movie, she's so great, and her outfits and just the whole aesthetic of the movie, it's just so beautiful. The next film we are going to talk about is from 1962, and it is Lawrence of Arabia. And this was directed by David Lean and stars Peter O'Toole. The story of T.E. Lawrence, the English officer who successfully united and led the diverse, often warring Arab tribes during World War I in order to fight the Turks. Now, Lawrence of Arabia is honestly it's a classic masterpiece. Like, it's literally a masterpiece. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with this movie. And to show for it, it was the top grossing movie of 1962, and it also won 7 Academy Awards. Like, what? It won for Best Picture, Director, Cinematography, Musical Score, Art Direction, Editing, and Sound. So it won for pretty much almost all of the major categories. That's a pretty big deal. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. Honestly, I think that just shows why you need to see this movie. It is literally a masterpiece that everyone needs to see. It is really long, but when you think about it, it's like 3 hours and 40 minutes. That's about as long as the Titanic, like the Titanic movie. And if you can watch that movie, you can definitely watch Lawrence of Arabia, in my opinion. So go see it. It's a great movie. So my last movie on this list is from 1964, and it is Mary Poppins. And obviously this was produced by Walt Disney and was directed by Robert Stevenson and stars Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. In turn-of-the-century London, a magical nanny employs music and adventures to help 2 neglected children become closer to their father. Now, again, this is another one of those movies that you just have to see if you haven't seen it yet. And if you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? Go watch it now. Sorry, that was a little aggressive. You just have to see it. Like, this is it's so good. So I have a feeling that pretty much all of you have seen this movie. And if you have, I'm going to recommend another movie for you to see. I think you need to see Saving Mr. Banks. It stars Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson, and that movie is a dramatic version of how Walt Disney got the rights for Mary Poppins from the author. I think everyone needs to see that movie so you can get a better understanding of Mary Poppins. I think that helps a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you liked it. If you liked it, please give it a like and a comment down below and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to share this video, that would be so nice of you. And stay tuned for my next video, which will be part 2 of the 1960s. That will be 1965 to 1969. And yeah, thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.